Hello guys and welcome back to the Karvin Katers Cooking Channel. Today we got some Pupusas Revueltas. And as always we have our ingredients laid out, which you guys can find in the description box down below. We're going to start off by shredding our cabbage on this old school mandolin. If you guys don't have a mandolin, you guys can just slice it by hand. Shred doesn't have to be too fine, we still want it to have some bite. Next, we're going to take our carrots, and once we peel them, we're going to cut them into julienne. Julienne is just a fancy way of saying matchstick size. Next, we're going to give our cabbage and carrots a quick blanch. This water doesn't have to be boiling. It just needs to be hot enough to wilt this down just a little bit, just a smidge. It'll change the color, and it also takes away some of that bite. You guys can use the same water for both your carrots and cabbage. Remember, when you're blanching, you want to put it in hot water that is seasoned with salt, and then you want to put it in an ice cold bath just to stop the cooking process. And once we have that cooled off and rinsed off, we're going to add some white vinegar to it, a little bit of oregano, salt, and pepper. Now, when working with acids, guys, you guys know I always like to add a pinch of sugar when I'm adjusting the flavors, but this is totally dependent on you guys. After we add our seasonings, we want to give it a quick toss, and then we're going to put it in a glass jar. Normally, you want to make this at least 3 days in advance, and up to 3 weeks, you want to have it there. Curtido basically means pickled. Next, we want to season our pork with some salt, some pepper, and a little bit of oregano. Give that a quick toss, and then we're just going to cook it in some neutral oil. Now, I'm using pork shoulder. Normally, we see this in stews and in roast, but for this application, it works well. I didn't over-season it just because later on you'll see the beans that I've already stewed are full of flavor, so I don't need to overcomplicate this. I want the flavors of this pork to really sing. So we're going to give it a quick sear by just, like I said, cooking it in neutral oil. Once that has created a nice crust on one side, we're just going to give it a quick toss, and then flip it over to the other side and add our next batch in. Now, as you guys know, color equals flavor. For this application, it doesn't need to get the most out of it just because it's going to be buzzed up anyways. And with that teaspoon of Panca pepper, it will also give it some color along with some flavor. It's not too hot. It's a nice little mild heat. Next, while that's cooling, we're going to buzz up our beans. Now, these are stewed beans, and that's for recipes for another video, another day. We're just going to buzz these up just for, our picky eaters, and also I'm doing this in lieu of refrying my beans just because, try to be healthy here and there. Don't want to add all that extra oil. So if your beans are pasty enough, no problem. It works out just the same. So once we're done buzzing our beans, we're going to buzz up our meat. I know it seems odd, but trust me, it works for the filling that we're doing. This is how we want it. Once we've buzzed that, we're going to add that to our beans, and we're going to also add our cheese. I'm doing a 50-50 mix of mozzarella and queso blanco just because of the flavor and the meltability, that's a word, right, of our cheese. Next, while we have that resting, we're going to make our Maseca mix, or our dough mix for this. Maseca is dried corn flour. We're going to mix that with some salt, some oil, and water. You guys can see that down below in the description box again. For this is more of a feeling, so, you adjust as needed. It's to the touch. You want it to be formed enough that it's not sticking to your finger, but not so dry that it's falling apart. But always remember this, you can always add more, but you can't take out. So, as long as the dough comes together and it's not crumbling apart, you're good. Now I'm going to use water on my hands to roll this out, but you guys can use oil. That works as well. We're going to roll it into a ball, then pat it out, and then we're going to stick our filling in the middle, put that back into a ball, and pat it back down again. This will make sure that everything is well incorporated inside your pupusa. So once we have those ready, what we're going to do is make sure we season our grill with some neutral oil again. I'm using canola. And what you guys are going to do is put your tortilla at this point, if you want to call that, or your pupusa. You're going to put it down, and you're going to let it cook for about 3 minutes on each side. Once the edges are starting to dry out, if you want to, you add a little bit of more oil, because the oil will make you have crispy ones. Flip those over, give it another 3 minutes. Once you have those done, you want to serve them nice and hot, and you want to serve it with some curtido and hot sauce for me. And if your cheese oozes like this, you know you got a right one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And if you guys would like to interact with me and see more content, you can always follow me on Instagram or drop a comment below. Thank you.